Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here, this time reviewing on issue 13 of the 2000 run of Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, as you know, we're now on issue 13, where obviously it does the big thing of Ultimate Peter telling Ultimate MJ who he really is. And at first, when I was younger, I thought it was an interesting idea, but I think getting older and wiser and having my own experience as a writer, I think it feels slightly enforced and needed a reason to change the whole Mary Jane dynamic. And the cover mainly has, obviously, Ultimate MJ shocked of seeing the Spider-Man mask, and let's get on with the story. It starts off, obviously, in Ultimate Peter's room, and we kind of see how after getting the sort of encouragement to tell MJ who he really is, he says, and you can't tell anyone. I mean anyone. Okay. Ever. Ever. Okay. You gotta promise me. I promise. I mean it. You gotta promise me. And we see how obviously Owen Peter decides to bite the bullet, and obviously tells Owen MJ who he is, and that he's Spider-Man. And at first, obviously, Ultimate MJ thinks that Owen Peter is just pulling her leg, and I'm not blaming her for seeing this as funny, because she obviously thinks Peter's joking, but we see how Owen Peter decides to make the ultimate point by showing that he can stick to walls, and obviously shows off his skills in that. And at first, MJ is a little shocked, and Owen Peter saying, "You gotta be Mary. My aunt is home. You gotta be." "What's going on up there?" "Nothing, Aunt May. I don't want any hanky-panky up there. We're studying? I mean it. We're studying." And obviously we kind of see how MJ's all shocked and surprised about Ultimate Peter having all these powers, and even points out about the spider that bit him, which obviously Ultimate MJ has that flashback to how it all started. And obviously Ultimate MJ all amazed that Peter got these powers, and her realizing had she let the spider bit her, she could have had powers too. And we even see how Peter knows he has to keep this identity thing a secret, and wanted to tell MJ the whole thing, because obviously he didn't want to kind of hurt MJ's feelings. He didn't want to kind of obviously make her disappointed, or basically explaining where he's been all this time. And we also see how after kind of slowly starting to kind of fall in love, they are about to kiss, until Ultimate Aunt May shows up to try and stop them. And obviously Ultimate Aunt May called MJ's mum, and I think Ultimate Aunt May obviously made the right call, knowing what obviously kids can be up to, and knowing what can happen if they don't use protection. And we also see Ultimate Peter saying, "I can't believe you just said that. Yeah, I gotta go. These are dangerous times." And we also see how after Ultimate Peter and Aunt May have the discussion, obviously Ultimate Peter is trying to make best of the situation, and after kind of having a bit of a stern word with Ultimate Aunt May, Peter's sort of now happy that he's finally told MJ, and obviously happy that he's got it off his chest, and obviously allowed her into his world. And this is the story. So I think here it's okay, but it feels like it needs a reason to bring obviously Mary Jane into Ultimate Peter's world, which not only was stupid on Ultimate Peter's part, But honestly, if any of Ultimate Peter's villains, or anyone who obviously might see them together if he's dressed up as Spider-Man, could obviously lead to unwanted attention, or something that could happen to her if she's put in danger. I think I can see what Brian Michael Bendis was trying to do, is sort of slightly alter the status quo to fit into a different story. It's an okay story, but it's just there to do that running gag where everyone starts to know who Ultimate Peter is. And I think, obviously, putting Ultimate MJ too quickly into Ultimate Peter's world does sort of take away any good possible story we could have had, with obviously Ultimate Peter having to kind of decide if it's best to tell her, if it's not, and so forth. Not the best issue, not the greatest, but it definitely deserves a thumbs in the middle. Not the best one, not the greatest, and it definitely becomes clear that Bendis is slowly starting to become a bit of a questionable writer when it comes down to tone, pacing, build-up, and so forth. So, Comic Book Reviewer here, signing out.